but the pesticide treatments are the most effective. So that's our best option.
Any questions?
Yeah, back in the day, when my dad was director of agriculture, they had a beetle problem, they had medfly problems. When we had to go into backyards, they didn't have any say about it. Has laws changed where now we can't go in if they say no?
I'm going to defer that question to CDFA because they are going to have a much better handle on what the regulations are now and what they are able to do by law.
Now, the treatments that you have for these trees, we don't have anything that actually kills the bug?
No, the neonicotinoid pesticides do kill the bug, and we apply them systemically so that it's in the system, and when they pierce or suck on the tree.
So when you have a regional spraying program, everybody sprays the same night or whatever,
yes,
within 2 days or whatever, it is a systemic. And are those bugs gone then, or do they fly other places, or what's the deal?
That was one of the arguments for the area-wide management strategies, because when growers are all treating in a general area, you have a much better chance.
But that's not mandated.
No, that's not mandated. That's a voluntary program that the industry is employing.
Okay. So ultimately, in your opinion, what does your industry need from us to help this program along and to get rid of this terrible disease?
In our view, this is a state issue. This is not just an industry issue.
Right.
We need the state of California to support our efforts. This issue is growing at an exponential rate, and we feel the industry has taken the proactive approach of funding this program itself. We've had support from the federal government, and now we're asking for support from the state government through the general fund as well.
Yeah, your industry has been fantastic as a self-help industry. How much money are you guys talking about, or do you even know?
Well, we're funding about $15 million per
Right.
year. It could be up to 20 if our legislation passes. We're asking for $5 million from the general fund. We think it's a drop in the bucket, but it's time that the state step in and support these efforts.
Okay.
And this is for residential and urban. This isn't
Yes.
even for treatment and detection.
Right, I'm glad you clarified that.
Industry groves. We're talking about backyard trees, that the industry is paying for the efforts for backyard trees for homeowners.
Exactly. All these funds go into residential and urban areas, and growers are responsible for paying for treatments and regulatory compliance on top of what they're paying into this backyard residential program.
Great.
Any other questions? Okay.
I'm good for now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And our next witness is David Roth, who is president of Cecilia Packing Corporation.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and committee. I'm going to try to bring a different perspective to this. I run a packing house. I also farm personally, and I run and operate a 2,150-acre citrus growing farm that we own personally, or that I don't own personally, that the company owns. And so looking at the direct costs on some of these things, going into the dollars and cents of what this industry, as just a little 1%er of me, we pack about 1.2 million to 1.3 million cartons a year. That includes navels, Valencias, blood oranges, caracaras, and some different tangerine varieties. In doing that, I employ about 85 people in the packing house almost year-round. I employ 150 people almost year-round in the fields harvesting the fruit. I also employ about 12 people in the office staff, and in our farming division, I have another 10 people working day and night, spraying, whatever we have to do, irrigating. This is a major contribution within our little teeny community of a roughly $2 to $3 million, $4 million that our company pays people in for labor helping this citrus industry. And the Asian citrus psyllid, we are not in denial. we know that this is a major issue in our surrounding growers, coffee shop, whatever. Citrus Mutual has done an excellent job of getting out the word, and we have taken notes. We are in different spray areas, which will be talked about later. If they find the pest, then we do a mandated 5 acres, 1,800 yard spray thing, and everybody tries to get that done. But we don't have the chimas that the Florida people have, and that seems to be working. And I think we're talking more and more about getting a spray program, whether it's us or other community growers in a vicinity, to go ahead and spray on a timely basis, so that we're just not pushing the bug from one street across the street to the neighbor. We need to encircle this and really kill a number of areas. The latest fine, or one of the fines that you guys have maybe take notes of, we got it clear up in here to Tracy now. Right. In the past, it starts off easily down at the border. And in the past, how it deals with a packing house, I have some of the lemons that I pack or handle, we have to send down to Ventura or to Corona. And so the problems in dealing with what we have, from going to one district that's not infected to a district that is infected, we're having to spray 5 or 10 acres, go out and pick it, cover it, tarp it, and take it into a different community that is, if we're related to whether it's a zone that has been fines, we are a ACP zone or not. And so going down the freeway,
excuse me real quick, so what you're saying is once you get that fruit picked, then you got to fumigate it before you send it down there?
well, we have to spray it, and then they have to tarp it. Because if it goes in a zone that there is no APC found, then you would potentially contaminate that area. So if you start up here, and we're in a zone, and you go down 99, which is half the problem, and head over the hill, which is a problem. If we go into a non-pest zone, then those trees need to be sprayed and brought in, handled properly through the right channels.
And your plan is where?
I'm in Orange Cove, but I do have lemons that go into Ventura and go into Riverside. And so if you cross a zone that doesn't have the pest, you must either spray, tarp, and do those things. What I'm bringing up is, it is a problem for all these growers to know all the regulations that is happening. The regulations kind of came into the packing house first. We are kind of like the first hit. We have to, we had to sign up. Every grower has an ACP number. And then it went from that into the truck drivers, and all of our trucking companies have to be known that they have a piece of paper in their truck and how they have to deal with it. Of course, the packing houses, there's a couple of packing houses that are out of the zone. So everything that they bring into the zone either needs to be sprayed or tarped. So this is no picnic for what we're having to face. And this has only been in the last couple of years. And I'm just talking in the packing house side, give you an idea of how much money it's costing us, the regulations that we're going through. You haven't even got to the grower yet, sorry. You haven't even got to the grower yet. So those are the things that we are affected by this pest. And the packing houses contribute. We are assigned the bill for the 9 cents per carton. If it goes to 12 cents, our grower base, it's gone to the packing house. Just write that check out for every grower and then pass those down the road for that. So our industry is really in not denial. We are in trying to do the best destiny we possibly can and go in the right direction. We have to treat probably 5 or 7 times a year. If you're moving out of district, you probably have to treat 5 acres. If you have 40 acres and you pick 5, then you have to spray that 40 acres probably 6 or 7 times to move the fruit from a district through a non-infected district to another district. Very costly, very problematic in some of the areas that we're dealing with as a packing house, and our packing house personnel saying, well, what am I doing today? You need to tell this grower we're going to pick in 3 days, and then it rains, and then it's just endless. So there's a thought process that has to go into this pest. We have to cover our loads, the paperwork. We have 3 different kinds of paperwork moving through. One, the grower has a number, then the packing house has to apply to the county and get all those right regulations, and then the truck driver itself has paperwork to move fruit through. So this is all packing house problems. In the packing house itself, we're supposed to, all debris, leaves, and trash that come from the field is supposed to be double bagged and put into a cinder that will burn the leaves and trash. Of course, when it gets to the incinerator, they take it out of the bag to dump the leaves in because they can't burn plastic. So it's kind of circling the wagon. We do try to control not only ACP, but we're faced as a packing house, as a citrus industry, with a host of other pests that Korea has slowed us down in. Japan is once lighter MRLs on this fruit. There's a number of things that we just have to watch. ACP is the biggest one, but it also not the one that has locked us out of some of our export opportunities. And so some of these things that you're taking or have down the road, we hear taking out of our toolbox, which is the neonics and those type of sprays. We have to spray 5 times a year, and we cannot not spray. These are very, very important, and the pesticides are important to the industry. And, you know, with Cecilia Packing alone probably feeding 400 people with their children and everything out at a rate of about $3 or $4 million in payroll one way or the other through the farm labor contractors, the packing house, and that it's something very, very significant. And I'm just a 1%er in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking through my note for the name of the new disease that's resulted in very, very small pea-sized fruit in Florida. The secondary disease.
Yeah, I said post-bloom, I think, yeah.
Yes. Has there been any sighting of that in California yet?
No.
Okay.
The only HLB that there is in existence is down, to our knowledge at today, is around the San Gabriel and down Southern California, which they're trying to get the trees out as fast as they can, obviously.
What's this doing to the price of product at the market, and what's it going to do to the price of the product at market?
At this given time, because we're not majorly affected, we are still able to grow, and the volumes have been relatively consistent. This year we had a very nice crop. We've got tangerines that are affected, would be affected. Any citrus is affected with ACP. And so at this time in California, we have put up a gigantic front because we knew this was coming out of Florida. And we have tried not to step backwards from the attack. We've tried to really attack forwards. And when we find and know there's pests in Dinuba, that brought my packing house in because I was in a 5-mile radius. Just barely got me in. They just found another fine over off Reed, about another 5 miles. But I have 300 acres that's in the Naval Incha north of Orange Cove and east of Fresno. I've got 300 acres in there that it's clean. No fines, no anything. So I can bring that fruit into any contaminated district, but, well, I don't want any fruit to go into that district, and luckily there's no packing house or anything.
Yeah, so because of the industry's hard work, is it your estimate that we're on the front side of this thing anyway? I mean, we've put up a good front. It seems to me as we're just sitting here, and it's early in this hearing, but it's the backyard trees that are the problem.
I would like to acknowledge that. Southern California has more trees in it than we do in their backyards than we do farming it. And I think that is part of it. They do not have a spray program. They do not care about pests. They pull an orange off and eat it. And that's the life. Where ours is trying to control 40, 50, 2,000 acres at a time. And you're right, the backyard is the issue. We feel very, I don't want to say comfortable. We feel like we are doing what we absolutely can to control it. We are funding it. That makes us feel good. Florida has done a tremendous amount of education and spent money back there for understanding how the pest lives and grows. So I feel positive that Florida, California has worked together to give us a little head start. But with it moving from LA to Central California and along the roadways, 99, 65, you kind of hear that, Tracy's 99. They're bringing, you have a few of these problematic areas that you're finding hitchhikers.
Yeah.
And we really need to find a good, consistent way to figure out how to control it and or stop it.
Yeah, we had, in the wine grape industry, we had a heck of a problem with the Class C wing sharpshooter. Yeah. And this reminds me a little bit of the same, the way the movement as it moved up the valley. So I'm sure you're doing some of the same things, that probably modeling the same.
Yeah, we have glassy room sharpshooter down in Kern County. So when I pick oranges down there, we have certain criteria we have to meet, and hold the fruit in a sweat room and make sure that there's none flown out and that type of stuff. So all the time we're having to look for something.
Yeah. If it's not one thing, it's another.
It is.
All right, thank you.
Are either of you able to describe for us how it works in practice with CDFA going out to residences and talking to homeowners about their trees? Do you know how they know who has an orange tree or any kind of a citrus tree in the backyard? And
Actually, I think Victoria Hornbaker, who's on a panel after us, is going to touch on that. But I will tell you, it's a great process. It's very transparent and open. Homeowners are invited to a public meeting where they are individually walked through the steps that they'll be experiencing as CDFA crews come into the neighborhood and treat their trees. And it's in partnership with the Department of Pesticide Regulation to assure the homeowners that the products that will be applied are safe and applied in a safe manner. It's a really good approach. And in addition to that, the industry is funding about $1 million a year in public outreach and education. That goes hand in hand with what CDFA is doing with treatments, just educating people about what this pest and disease means for all California citrus trees. So we're really trying to build a good relationship with the homeowners and be as transparent as we can be.
thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. And we'll move to our second panel, state, federal, and local response. And with us today, we have Victoria Hornbaker, Citrus Program Manager from the California Department of Food and Agriculture. Beth Stone Smith, Program Manager, California USDA APHIS Plant Protection and Quarantine. Melissa Cragen, Deputy Agriculture Commissioner, Fresno County. Rick Harrison, Pest Control Advisor, Crop Production Services, CAPCA State Treasurer.
I'm fine. My knees are.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to mention for any members of the public who would like to testify, we have some sign-up sheets here that you can go ahead and do in that way. At the end of our panels, we can hear from you as well. So if Victoria Hornbaker, if you can go ahead and start, please. Thank
Madam
you.
Chair, members of the committee, thank you for allowing us to come and testify for you today. So I am the program manager for the Department of Food and Agriculture, which means that I work very, very closely with the folks that are sitting at this table with me, as well as with industry and members of the public. It's a very cooperative program, as Alyssa stated. So our program continues to be cooperative. We are funded through grower assessments and through a cooperative federal agreement. Our proposed revenues for this year, revised proposed revenues, are $27 million, with 63% of that projected funding coming through grower assessments and 37% coming from the federal CHIRP funding. ACP was first detected, as you know, in 2008 down along the border in San Diego. CDFA responded very aggressively to those initial finds. We established 20-mile radii quarantines around those finds. We did mandatory treatments. We did intensive trapping arrays and surveys. Over the course of the following 6 years, up into 2014, ACP, regardless of the activities we were doing, has spread rapidly throughout Southern California. As counties became more heavily infested and quarantine areas expanded, all of Southern California counties, from Imperial to in the south to Santa Barbara, along the coast, were deemed infested and placed under a contiguous quarantine. So the whole Southern California area is now a contiguous quarantine. Despite all efforts, ACP continues to move north along the Central Coast and the Central Valley, with numerous detections in Tulare County, facilitating the entire county to be placed under quarantine in 2014 as well. That same year, the program noted expansions of ACP detections and partial quarantines in San Luis Obispo, Santa Clara, and San Joaquin and Madera counties. In 2015, the program further expanded with detections in San Benito, Stanislaus, and San Mateo counties. And then in 2016, we've had a find now in Kings County. So that's our newest county that's been added. As well as we've experienced multiple finds in Kern County and Fresno County and Madera that are causing pretty expansive quarantine expansions. There was a question earlier about our treatments, and in the past, treatments for other pests may have been mandatory, and up until a point, our treatments were mandatory for ACP. However, our primary entomologist, based on all the data available to him and due to the distribution of ACP throughout different parts of the state, has determined that eradication for the Asian citrus psyllid is not feasible. And as such, our response in that program has switched from an eradicative strategy to a suppressive strategy. So right now we have 4 response scenarios that we employ. We have the voluntary area-wide treatment program. Similar to the CHIMAs that were mentioned by our partners from Florida, we have psyllid management areas. So we have growers throughout Southern California who are neighbors who have developed these psyllid management, or PIMAs, and they do their very coordinated treatments within a 2-week time frame. When those growers all do that, CDFA partners with them, and we do a 400-meter treatment on all residential properties around those groves. We feel like we're giving them some relief from the immediate reinfestation from the residential areas. As you know, in many of our commercial groves are very, very close to urban residential areas. So our next scenario that we have is a voluntary international border response program. So we do maintain a 2-mile trapping buffer along the U.S.-Mexico border, and we do 400-meter treatments on ACP finds in those areas. I have included a map in your packet that shows the latest HLB finds in Mexico. Previous to this map that you have in your packet, the closest HLB find in Mexico was about 500 miles away in Baja del Sur. We now have finds in Baja California in the municipality of Ensenada. So it is It's about 70 miles away from our border now. We also maintain voluntary treatments in response to ACP detections in areas not considered generally infested, so areas north of Southern California. In those, we trap very intensively, so we're setting out a trapping array of 100 traps per square mile where we can find hosts. We do survey work and treat within 100 to 400 meters of the find. And then to answer your question, we still do maintain some mandatory activities in our program, and those are in response to HLB finds. So when we have an HLB find, we do a mandatory 800-meter survey, treatment, and trapping around those find sites.
That's in any given tree in a backyard or?
Yeah, so for instance, in San Gabriel now, yesterday we had another confirmed positive, so we're up to 21 trees in San Gabriel. Whenever we have a positive find, that elicits the response. We set that 800-meter area up, we do survey where we collect plant samples and any psyllids that we find from every home in that 800-meter area, and we treat every ACP or HLB host plant in that 800-meter area, and we do not allow people to opt out. Those are mandatory.
Can you kill that aphid at that point in time if you catch it early enough?
Yeah, I mean, the treatments are effective on the psyllids, definitely. The problem is we have no cure for the disease. So the only thing that we can do, and what we do is we remove the trees. So the positive tree, we'll do a mandatory removal. For the most part, in fact, out of San Gabriel, the 21 trees, we've only had to serve one warrant to remove a tree. The rest of them, the homeowners are all, they collaborate with us and say, yeah, I understand my tree is dying. Please go ahead and take it out for me. So that's really, it's unfortunate that they lose their tree, but the tree is in the process of dying. So in addition to our response scenarios, the CDFA has worked with researchers at USDA and the University of California to develop a number of biological control methods. The program currently is producing 2 biocontrol agents. They're called Tamarixia radiata and Diphoruncertus allegrensis. Those are little tiny wasps that don't sting humans, but they do lay their eggs on the young, immature stages of ACP, and they also feed on the adults and young stages of ACP. To date, we have released over 3 million Tamarixia and over 250,000 Diphoruncertus throughout Southern California. The main goal of this is to establish classical biocontrol with these agents, basically releasing them in a large enough quantity so that they become established in those areas and will organically take care of ACP populations. It's not a silver bullet, but it is something that we're using in areas, for instance, like the LA Basin, where we have just a tremendous number of ACP and we're not treating because treatments aren't feasible. The overall objective of our program is to detect and eradicate HLB. Until 2015, we had only had the 1 HLB detection in Hacienda Heights. That tree was removed. We continue to intensively survey that area. We have not had an additional find there. In 2015, however, we did have a find in San Gabriel. We're constantly doing survey work. We have trained surveyors. We send them to Florida. We send them to Texas. They learn what symptoms to look for HLB. So they go out in these areas and based on risk, so we have a researcher out of Florida that's developed a risk model for us. We survey different areas at different concentrations. So for instance, we had surveyors working in the LA area in San Gabriel, and they pulled samples from a kumquat tree of psyllids. The tree itself did not look classically symptomatic, so they didn't pull samples from that tree of the tissue, but the psyllids came back in the inconclusive range. And so that prompts us to go back and actually pull plant tissue, and at that point we determined that that tree was PCR positive for the bacteria that causes HLB. So that prompted our 800-meter survey. We found 9 additional trees in 2015 based on that survey, so that brought us to 10. In the beginning of 2016, we went back to resurvey the area. And now we've got 11 additional trees in the city of San Gabriel. So it's, there's a map in your packet also that shows the quarantine area. Our quarantine area has now been increased to 177 square miles in LA County and 3 square miles in Orange County for HLB. So what does that mean? It's basically an area where we don't allow nursery stock to be sold, citrus nursery stock. We have really stringent controls on what goes into and out of an HLB quarantine area. We even worked with the Rose Parade organizers to make sure that they weren't using any fresh citrus leaves or fresh potted citrus plants, because they were going to go through that quarantine area on the parade route. And they were willing to work with us, and I think, partnered with us really well. So we continue to work very closely with USDA, the University of California Extension, to implement our best management practices. We really look to USDA and the UC as to provide us with a lot of the background information. And we are also working with stakeholders on the potential to expand diagnostic capabilities. It's something that we're hearing folks need as they want to be able to test their own groves. So we're working on that. We're also working with the potential to expand biocontrol to private entities as well. Right now, it's just being done by USDA, the university, and CDFA. CDFA continues to support nationwide research objectives that will benefit the California citrus industry, including working on resistant citrus varieties, early HLB detection technologies, and inoculum removal techniques. CDFA also continues to maintain certified clean nursery stock certification and compliance agreements to allow movement of nursery stock within and from quarantine zones if specific mitigations are met. We maintain a similar set of compliance agreements as was explained earlier for bulk citrus movement. CDFA also continues to work closely with California Citrus Mutual and communications contractor Neffer Smith & Tucker to conduct a robust outreach communication program to growers, elected officials, and residents in California. The goal is to continue to educate the public about the potential threat of ACP and HLB on both commercial and residential citrus. I provided a couple little things in there in your packet that show some of the stuff that they've helped us produce. And we continue to work with our cooperators to improve our trapping and survey capabilities in new ACP and HLB find areas and work to overcome our challenges that are presented to us by these expansions.
Do you have any questions at this point? Okay. We'll go. Thank you very, very much. And we'll go ahead and take our next witness, Beth Stone Smith, Program Manager, California USDA APHIS Plant Protection and Quarantine.